GM considers options for its Lyft stake after IPO. As Lyft cruises toward an initial public offering this month, one of the big winners will be General Motors Co., whose stake in the ride-hailing firm could be worth as much as $1.27 billion. GM is not talking about its plans for that investment, and investors polled by Reuters, owning a collective 35.7 million shares, do not have a consensus view. Some believe the number one U.S. automaker should hold on to it for strategic reasons, while others want the money returned to shareholders through buybacks or a special dividend. Unless Cruise Automation is GM's self-driving car unit. Lyft on Monday launched the investor roadshow for the March 29 IPO, and it set it to sell Class A shares at $62 to $68 a share. GM owns more than 18.6 million Class A shares, according to the Lyft filing, meaning its investment at the outset could be worth $1.16 billion to $1.27 billion. GM invested, with a 180-day lockup period during which GM cannot sell, and the expected April IPO of larger rival Uber Technologies Inc., further stoking interest in the ride-hailing sector. The value could subsequently rise. GM spokesman Tom Henderson said the automaker is happy with its Lyft stake, but declined to discuss future plans for the shares. Several shareholders would like to see GM sell the stake and use the proceeds to repurchase shares or pay a special dividend. However, Jacques Elmely, portfolio manager with Steinberg Global Asset Management, with almost 24,000 GM shares at the end of 2018, said it is too early to write off the relationship. Some of GM's larger investors, the United Auto Workers Retiree Health Care Benefits Trust, hedge fund manager David Einhorn and T. Rowe Price Group Inc. declined to comment. Warren Buffett's GM's former president, Dan Ammann, joined Lyft's board as the company's eyed developing networks of self-driving cars together. However, their analysts have speculated GM will eventually sell shares in Cruise or spin it off, and the incentive plan disclosed last month for Ammann pointed toward a possible IPO. Kyle Martin, analyst with Westwood Holdings, which owns more than 30,000 GM shares, would just as soon see GM sell the Lyft stake and use that money in Cruise. That's
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,